Buckle up, everyone, because today we're diving deep into how global information networks have evolved.
From like the very first telegram?
Yeah, all the way to the internet as we know it today.
It's quite a journey.
It really is. We'll be looking at how all these innovations like radio and even the World Wide Web.
Shaped how we talk to each other.
Exactly. And not just that, but also things like global trade diplomacy and even culture.
You know, it's amazing how much we take instant communication for granted these days.
I know, right? To really get it, we need to like step back in time.
Imagine a world where information traveled at the speed of a horse.
Whoa, that's slow.
Okay, that's cool.
I like it. So for today's deep dive, we've got a whole mix of sources lined up.
A bit of history.
Some tech stuff, too.
Even some philosophy and a dash of psychology.
Sounds like a good recipe for some serious insights.
Well, and get this. To understand how big of a deal the Telegraph was,
Okay.
you gotta picture this. The War of 1812 officially ends.
Treaty signed and everything.
Yep. But then 2 weeks later, the Battle of New Orleans happens.
We went, why?
Because news traveled so slowly.
So the troops didn't even know the war was over.
Exactly. Communication breakdown big time.
That's wild. It really shows how revolutionary the telegraph was.
Suddenly, information could zip across continents in just minutes.
Like going from carrier pigeon to instant message.
Yeah. And just like with any big new tech, the Telegraph caused some serious buzz.
People were probably freaking out.
They were. Some questioned if faster communication even meant better communication.
That's a debate we're still having today.
Totally. Like all those arguments about social media and attention spans.
It seems like worrying about the downsides of technology is nothing new.
Nope. Some folks even worried that because the Telegraph was all about short messages, it would like make us shallow thinkers.
Obsessed with just quick hits of info?
Yep. Sound familiar?
It definitely does. But it wasn't just about speed. The telegraph also changed who was controlling the flow of information.
Right. It's not just what we communicate, but how we communicate.
Exactly, with these big, powerful news agencies popping up.
They could shape what the public thought on a scale never seen before.
And were there concerns about misinformation and echo chambers even back then?
Absolutely. History often rhymes even in the digital world.
So we shrunk the world with the telegraph. But the story doesn't end there.
Oh, no. It's just getting started.
What's next in this information revolution?
Well, if the telegraph was like whispering across continents, then radio and television were like
shouting from the rooftops.
Exactly. We went from one-to-one messages to broadcasts reaching millions all at once.
That must have completely changed how we experienced the world.
How we absorbed information and formed our opinions.
Yeah. Imagine watching the first moon landing live on TV.
An entire planet glued to their screens sharing that moment.
Chills. But with that massive reach came a new kind of power.
The power to control the narrative and sway public opinion on a huge scale.
Scary. Our sources point out that political leaders were quick to see the potential of these new media.
Oh, yeah. They knew a good thing when they saw it.
It makes you wonder how much has really changed since then.
From carefully controlled broadcasts to the wild world of the internet.
The evolution of information networks has been a wild ride.
And it's not slowing down. The internet, with its decentralized structure,
And basically unlimited capacity.
has totally revolutionized how we connect and communicate. It's not just about speed anymore. It's about the sheer amount of information.
We're drowning in data.
Exactly. We've entered the age of big data where we're creating and consuming information at an unbelievable rate.
So how do we even make sense of it all?
That's the million-dollar question. Researchers, philosophers, even everyday people are wrestling with that.
It's like this, our sources compare it to religion.
How so?
Well, think about it. Religions used holy books to connect directly with the divine.
Bypassing any human intermediaries.
Right. And now the internet is doing the same thing for information.
Providing access to both knowledge and misinformation without any filters.
When was the last time you actually asked a librarian for help instead of just Googling it?
Good point.
Yeah.
We have more access to information than ever before.
But are we actually prepared to sift through it all and find the truth?
That's where things get really interesting, because now we have algorithms.
Those lines of code that make decisions about what we see online
They're constantly analyzing mountains of data.
and shaping our online experiences without us even realizing it. It's like having an invisible hand guiding us through the internet.
Exactly. And that brings up a crucial question.
How much do we really understand about how these algorithms work?
And should we be worried about how much influence they have over our lives? And it gets even more interesting. Our sources bring up this study about zippers.
Zippers?
Yeah, most people think they know how zippers work.
I mean, I can use one.
Right. But when you ask them to actually explain the mechanism, they go blank.
That's true. I've never really thought about how it works.
And our understanding of algorithms might be just as shaky.
So we're basically zipping through life, trusting these complex systems that we barely understand.
It's a bit like that.
Algorithms are choosing our news feeds, recommending what we watch, even influencing what we buy.
It's true.
Makes you wonder, do we even want to know how these digital puppet masters work?
It's a question worth asking, for sure.
Or are we happy just letting them pull the strings?
Well, it raises a really important question about what it means to be human in this digital world.
How so?
As algorithms get smarter and smarter, they challenge our ideas about free will and consciousness.
Okay.
Are we really in control of our choices?
You mean like, are we actually making decisions, or are they being made for us?
That's the question. Maybe our choices are more predictable than we think.
Or maybe algorithms are just getting really good at reading our minds.
It's like when you see an ad for something you were just thinking about.
Spooky.
Is it just clever marketing or something more?
I mean, I do sometimes feel like I'm being watched online.
It's not paranoia to be aware of these things.
True. But while there's definitely a potential for manipulation,
Right.
we can't forget that algorithms aren't inherently bad.
Yeah. They're tools.
Like a hammer can build a house or break a window.
Exactly. And in healthcare, for example, algorithms are analyzing medical scans,
Helping doctors detect patterns they might miss.
potentially saving lives.
So it's like having a superpowered medical consultant in your pocket.
In a way, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But what about creativity and innovation?
Ah.
Can algorithms compete with the human imagination?
Our sources talk about AlphaZero,
What's that?
an AI that taught itself to play chess at a superhuman level in just a few hours.
No way.
And it wasn't copying human strategies. It came up with completely new approaches.
So robots are going to be writing symphonies and painting masterpieces next.
Well, some argue that human consciousness, our emotions, our experiences,
That's what makes us unique.
might be the one thing algorithms can't replicate.
I hope so.
But even if they can't fully copy us, they're definitely changing how we interact with the world,
We're always online, always bombarded with information.
relying on these networks for everything.
It's almost like we can't live without them.
But it's a double-edged sword, right?
Totally. We have access to more information than ever.
But it's also overwhelming.
Like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Exactly. And that's why these conversations are so important.
We need to figure out how to navigate this new world.
The future of these networks isn't set in stone.
It's being shaped by our choices every single day.
So what can we do?
Do we all need to become coding experts?
It's not just about technical skills.
What else can we do?
Our sources say it starts with awareness,
Understanding how these systems work
questioning the information we see.
and holding the people in power accountable.
We need to be critical thinkers, not just passive consumers of data.
So it's not just about what we do online, but how we think about it.
Exactly. We need to realize that our digital actions have real-world consequences.
Every click, every share shapes the digital world we live in.
It's our responsibility to create the kind of online environment we want.
It's like we're all collectively writing the code for the future.
And that's a powerful idea. But there's another side to this we need to talk about.
The dark side.
Yeah, the potential for these algorithms to be used for bad stuff.
Like surveillance and manipulation.
Things we can't ignore. And that's where we'll pick up in the last part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned, folks. Things are about to get real. Welcome back to our deep dive, folks. It's the final stretch of our exploration into the world of global information networks.
We've come a long way from the telegraph speed to the internet's crazy amount of data.
And those algorithms that seem to be everywhere.
But now it's time to face the music and talk about the potential downsides.
The shadows lurking in this interconnected world.
We've touched on the dark side of algorithms, how they could be used for surveillance.
Even control.
It's like we built this awesome, powerful machine but forgot about the safety features.
Our sources don't hold back.
Yeah.
They describe a world where every click,
Every search.
every email is tracked and analyzed.
Potentially used against you.
It's like Big Brother on steroids.
With algorithms as the all-seeing eyes.
Should I be worried?
It's not about being paranoid, but about being aware. The choices we make online have real consequences.
So what can we do? Do we all need to become coding ninjas to protect ourselves?
Not necessarily. It starts with understanding how these systems work
Questioning the information we see?
and demanding transparency from those in power.
So we need to be critical thinkers, not just mindless clickers.
Exactly. Every click, every share shapes the online world.
It's like we're all coding the future together.
Now, here's a final thought-provoking question from our sources. if the internet lets us bypass the old gatekeepers of information, who are the new gatekeepers we should be watching out for?
The algorithms themselves.
And the companies that control them. The question is, how do we make sure these new gatekeepers are accountable to us?
That's the challenge and the opportunity. We need to navigate this digital world carefully.
Use our critical thinking skills and work towards a future where technology benefits everyone.
So that's it for this deep dive into global information networks. We've covered a ton of ground.
From the simple telegraph to the vast internet and the algorithms that shape our online lives.
It's been a wild ride.
Remember, every search, every email, every interaction you have online is part of this global network.
What role will you play in shaping its future?
Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay connected.
And don't forget to check those privacy settings.
Whispering.